Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about internal and external motivation, why you need both to succeed in life. If I were to ask you which is better, internal or external motivation, which would you pick? You would probably pick internal, right? That's mostly true, but to reach your full potential, you need both external and internal motivation. This is because both are equally powerful to get you to motivate yourself to do something you wouldn't otherwise do. And if you have both, they can synergistically work together to amplify both benefits. Peak motivation is all about leveraging both types of motivations to help you reach your goals. And you gain the benefits of both if you use them together. So let's go through why you need both types of motivations to help you succeed in life. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the background, why both motivations matter, and my general thoughts. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, hit that notification bell if you like this content. And let's go. So when we feel motivated to do something in life, it usually comes from one or two motivations, internal or external motivations. External motivation is when something outside of yourself motivates you to do something. Think of examples like money, fame, or validation from other people. And internal motivation is usually driven within ourselves, like the need for us to prove ourselves to other people. In this form of motivation, we have our own internal reasons for doing something, and we usually want to better ourselves. This can also come from a psychological place, like an inferiority complex or a lack of something within our own lives. And this internal motivation can generally be stronger than external motivation because the rewards are internal and we can sustain them for a longer time. It is usually touted as the better form of motivation, but it can be rooted in dark places. When you're trying to reach your overall goals, any type of motivation can be good as long as you use it properly. But when you're able to use both and leverage both of them properly, you can be truly unstoppable in attaining your goals. As of late, my motivation has been waning on some of the things that I've consistently done over time. And I've been trying to figure out what was the best way to motivate me to get me back to my A game. I usually rely heavily on internal motivation, but in this case, it wasn't helping me as much as I thought it could. And it wasn't until one of my coworkers recently quit for me to realize that I need both internal and external motivations to get me through. Because he left my company for a better paying company and a more respected company overall, and that challenged my external motivations. It helped motivate me to take a good hard look at my life and see whether or not I want to keep doing those things. But with only internal motivation, it just wasn't enough motivation to get me to reassess my life. I needed that external push. Internally, I needed to prove my worth and relevance to myself. But externally, I needed to show people that I'm capable of more, and I needed that validation from others. If I had one or the other type of motivation, I don't think I would assess my life so drastically. But I think that the combination of both helped me to push my motivation into overdrive. So for an example of this, say you want to be the best dueling piano player on the planet. If you were externally motivated to get this position, you'd probably be motivated by all the people validating you, and also the amount of money that you can bring in by being the best in the world at playing piano. But over the long period of time, you could also be burned out from that position because you weren't internally motivated to go through all your lessons and trainings to become that best player. Or maybe you didn't want to do it in the first place, but the fame and validation pushed you to pursue it. Or if you only used internal motivations to help you become the best dueling piano player in the world, you might be able to prove to yourself that you can be the best in the world by spending tens of thousands of hours playing piano. But if you truly ran on internal motivation, you do run into some problems with this as well. You can realize over time that you're unsatisfied by pushing yourself so hard with so little reward. You continuously put in training hours, but then you downsize validation and fame from other people, thus contributing to possible burnout. And because you're not driven by external validation, you don't get any benefits or rewards from that particular motivation set. But I will say, with internal motivation, you can overcome some hurdles that external motivations cannot. But if you do tap into both types of motivation on your quest to become the best dueling piano player in the world, you'll gain the benefits from both sides. Now let's talk about how both can work together to boost your success. Number one, they both work in synergy. Both internal and external motivations target different aspects of what motivates you to do something in the first place. Neither is inherently good or bad as what people say they are. They are just different sides of the same coin. Both are able to motivate you to do different things. When used together, you can derive the proper motivation for the proper goal you're trying to achieve. For example, external motivations work better on a child or kid than internal motivations would at that age. Or internal motivations can work better than external motivations to get through hard classes and sleepless nights of study. Throughout my life, I've used different types of motivations to get through different parts of my life that needs different things. It really depends on the goal and where I was at in my life during that time. Sometimes external motivating factors like validation can be easier to obtain and more persuasive than internal motivations, and can do a lot to boost your confidence in the short term when you're trying to achieve something with a massive push. Likewise, when the going gets tough and I don't have that external motivation pushing me towards my goals, I derive my motivation on internal factors. Those can usually get me through the hard times when external motivation factors are not existent. In practice, I would recommend people understand the goals they're trying to obtain and what kind of motivating factors would work best for them. Would I gain more of a benefit from internal, external, or both motivating factors? And understanding what kind of factors can go into my internal or external motivations to boost it. For example, say if I needed external validation to help me get through something, then I would try to target that to help me pursue my goals. So when you're using internal and external motivation, they can help synergistically together to hit your peak motivation. Number 2, focusing on one isn't enough. If you're only using one type of motivation, you might not be able to get the peak motivation that you would if you use both. Or you may not have a balanced life and you might actually have problems with achieving some goals. When you only have external motivation as your tool, it can be really hard to achieve your goals if that external motivation is disrupted in any way. For example, money, fame, and external validation can be extremely fickle and wane over time. And that external motivating factor itself might not be able to sustain you for a long period of time if you have to do something that requires a lot of work. Likewise, with only internal motivations, you can also run into problems within your life. You might be able to achieve some of your goals, but you might be very lonely in the process of it. Because when you're able to target and hit your goals and move on, you can become incredibly successful, and that is a very lonely place for you to be in. You see, people who have high internal motivation are usually driven by something deeper, something in their psyche. They might have an incredible focus on one thing and one thing only, neglecting all other things in their lives. And the continual need to be better and better and even the best at something can unbalance your life in the long run. Internal motivations can sometimes really be rooted in the need to overcome a personal deficit of themselves. They want to overcome something so bad that they're willing to commit all the mental, time, and energy resources into a particular project or goal. This can get you to completing your goal, but at a great sacrifice and cost to your life. And lastly, internal motivation works the best if it's really something that you want to do. You can't conjure up internal motivations to do something that you don't want to do. So focusing on one type of motivations can get to your goals, but you can do it in an incredibly unbalanced way to your overall life. But by using both, you can complete your goals in a more well-balanced approach with your life. Number 3, it should never feel forced. When you try to push yourself to use one type of motivation, you can often feel forced by using it. This can be unnecessary resistance towards completing your goal. For example, your goal is to buy a Lamborghini and you want to save every penny you can contributing towards it. But that means every penny you save is forced to that one particular goal with no other considerations in mind. Or if you're motivated to get an A+ in class to prove your worth to your parents, but you're slowly burning out over time because of the pressure you feel from them. Motivation is supposed to help you achieve your goals, but not at the cost of excessive pressures from it. You should feel motivated to save diligently over time to get that Lamborghini, or motivated to do better in class because you'll gain knowledge and benefit over a long period of time from it. Having the ability to call on both internal and external motivations during this time is very helpful, because it can help you avoid feeling the need to feel overwhelming pressure from one type of motivation. Because both types of motivation can help you achieve your goals, you just have to target the right ones at the right time. So over-relying on one type of motivation to help you achieve a goal can actually demotivate you in the process. Using both types when appropriate can help you alleviate that. So here are my general thoughts on motivation. The motivation that we need varies wildly based on where we are in life. In different parts of our lives, we require different kinds of motivations to help us achieve our goals. If we only use one type of motivation, we might not be able to hit our peak motivation, or we might not be able to accomplish our goals in the first place. As a child, you don't know anything about internal motivations. All you know is external motivations that are given to you. As we get into college, we switch from external motivations to internal motivations, from the need to prove to our parents to the need to prove to ourselves that we can make it in the world. When we graduate and get a job, we can possibly switch back from internal to external motivations. Because usually at this time, we want to be rewarded by high pay and external validations from getting a good job offer. or we want to work in a really great industry and we want the validation and recognition from other people from it. From this point on in your life, you can switch back and forth between external and internal depending on the circumstances. So at the end of the day, we have to recognize what period of life are we currently in and what kind of motivation works best for us. It might be internal, it might be external, it might be a combination of both to get the outcome we desire. And overall, when there's something that I need and must get done, I use and leverage both motivations to help me. It helps put me into a higher state where I'm completely engaged with whatever goals I have. Using internal and external motivations together have helped me to push myself to accomplish my goals where otherwise I couldn't do it alone with just one. But I do note that I don't push myself too hard and force myself to do something that I'm not willing to do yet. Regardless of the motivations I'm tapping into, I can't feel the pressure or being forced into doing something. At the end of the day, if my mind's not equipped to do it, I just won't do it, regardless of how many things are poking and prodding for me to finish it. Because if you push yourself too hard, it can become a demotivating tool and you won't accomplish it and you will just waste your time by forcing yourself. So those are some of my tips. I use both internal and external motivations to help me pursue my goals. We all need, at some point in our lives, motivation to help us pursue our goals. One type of motivation isn't necessarily better or more efficient than the other type. Both types of motivation can work equally as well depending on your circumstance and goal. When we only stick to internal motivations, we can miss out on rewards and validations from external, or if we stick to external motivations, we can miss out on the dogged persistence and internal satisfaction of internal motivation. But by using different types of motivations together, you can accomplish your goals using the best of both worlds. So thank you for watching. Please leave me a comment down below on what motivates you, internal or external motivations, and why. And I'll see you next time.